Welcome to the Commercial Real Estate Tactical Broker Training, eXp Mastery. I'm Brett Swartz, and each week we're bringing on some of the team and also potential new team members to talk about brokerage ways to help clients at a higher level through underwriting, through negotiation, through communication. Hopefully this provides some value to you. It's every single Monday at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific time. I'm with two of... Actually, now we're live. I'm sorry. We got to mute this. We're starting that over. Hello, everybody. Brett Swartz with eXp Commercial and eXp Mastery. Thank you for joining us for another eXp Commercial Real Estate Tactical Broker Training, where we're just trying to study and practice the art of negotiation and sales and communication so we can help our clients. We can sell at a higher level. So I'm here with Lindsay Porter and Pierce York, both part of eXp, and Chico in Newport Beach. Pierce and Lindsay, how are we doing?
Doing awesome.
Doing good.
Excellent, excellent. And today's topic, we're going to do a little bit of review, but we're also talking about consultations that convert, which have to do with ways to build rapport. So Lindsay, we were discussing or going through this a little bit before this. Curious what we were going through. We're talking about ways to help people really build rapport, right? Build rapport. And one of the ways to do this is to pace and lead with words, tonality, body, posture, gestures. So what was the biggest thing that stuck out for you for that consultation, that convert training?
Probably my biggest takeaway is just really being intentional about listening to how the other person's talking. I think we spend a lot of time figuring out what we're going to say next. And so just really being aware of, what they're saying, how they're saying it, and then you can kind of pick up on that and match what they're, kind of where their energy levels are at, and connect with them a little bit easier.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's good to listen really well, be intentional about that. It also feels like it's good to match and mirror maybe what they're feeling and or their emotional state or their energy state. Am I way off, Lindsay?
Nope, that's correct.
And Pierce, do you see how this could tie into what we're talking about in regards to being able to connect with people, to negotiate and communicate with mirroring and labeling? And Pierce, on that thought, what is mirroring? What is labeling?
Yeah, so mirroring is the repeating of the last three or 1 to 3 critical words of what someone just said.
What's the main purpose of that before you go into labeling? Why would you do that?
Main purpose is to clarify what they're really thinking and to get them to, I would kind of say, continue to give more information.
Right. So it's a way for them to naturally feel like they can expand on more information without having to feel like we're interrogating them, right? Because the more specific questions we ask, the more the law of reciprocity kicks in. And which that means is they feel like they're giving every time they're answering questions. But if you say, asking questions, or you say rents are going down, or you say concerned about interest rates and inflation, it's a way of asking questions without having to feel so direct, if that makes sense, which naturally helps people to open up more. It also shows that you're listening, and B, you're actually interested more than just on the surface level of what they're saying. In other words, it shows that you care. Now, the last part about this, it also should open up opportunities to learn more about them and to basically expand on an idea or a thought, which leads into what? As you expand, Lindsay, on those ideas or thoughts, they might start to touch on some emotional or some motivations or some desires, which we're gonna use labeling to do what exactly?
To, I guess, figure out what their motivations are and see if you have some sort of solution that could help them.
Good. Oh, more so, I'm thinking not just find out, but how much intensity are behind those motivations, right?
Mhm.
So you might say something along the lines of, yeah, I'm not sure where interest rates are going right now. And as a seller, I don't want to sell and be in a marketplace where I can't find a property that makes sense for me. And you might say, find a property that makes sense for you.
Mhm.
Or you might even say, and they say, yeah, that property doesn't make sense for me because, my, I've always wanted to, have my down payment and my income and expenses to a certain ratio where I don't feel so nervous about my budget. Now you might label that nervousness, right?
Mhm.
It sounds like you have some nervousness or some hesitancy when it comes to getting overextended with your budget. Am I way off? Right. And that right there is going to hopefully dig down deeper to where they're at. Right. In other words, it's pulling out more of those emotions to get to find out how intense that is. Or they might say, well, actually, it's not really that. Like, I feel like I can still afford an extra $1,500 a month, or I can still afford, this. It's actually this, right? As they're thinking through it. And now you're going to mirror and label down that part, but you're looking for what? Desires. You're looking for problems, right?
Mhm.
You're looking for where they want to be and where they're at, right? And you're doing that through mirroring and labeling, which is going to help them think and speaking it out loud and help you to get on the same rapport. Pierce, any thoughts on that?
One of the things I really like, doing about the labels in the mirrors is it helps people uncover. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. And it helps them once they hear it, they're like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Like, I'm going to go down that. This is what that means. And it helps them to clarify their own emotions or their own feelings or, their own wants and desires or their own problems, which is really powerful.
So that's a great point, Pierce. Now, Pierce, do you think it's more valuable for them to come up with the idea on their own, or for them to be told the idea?
Oh, 100% for them to come up with the idea.
And Lindsay, do we tend as sales professionals and consultants to want to have to give the answer, right?
Yep.
And have the solution, and especially want to do it like right away, and maybe feel like we're rushing the conversation or rushing the relationship?
Yep.
I know I do, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I have it. I think, and does that break us out of rapport?
Mhm.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
And is that rapport and that trust going to be honestly the long-term thing that helps you through the deal and them through the deal when the challenging times come?
Yep.
So Pierce, how much rapport do you want to be building on the first meeting? You get that meeting, you're sitting down. Of the percentage of the meeting, how much time should you be talking versus them?
On the first meeting,
Yeah, sure.
after the cold call,
Yeah,
80% them talking, 20% you.
good. And building rapport, some solution or some uncovering some needs and some challenges, assessing motivations, right? And as you're doing that, you're taking good notes about some of those challenges. You're writing down. But guess what? You don't want just one. You typically want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And you might want to hit on all of the major levels. So if you're in commercial brokerage, you're going to want to hit on just the day-to-day. Like, what are some of the most challenging things day to day? Number 2, how is the partnership if they have partners in the deal? Number 3, how is the financing going with the lender and the bank? Number 4, how's just the cash flow overall? Number 5, how's the macro idea of selling in a marketplace look like right now? Right. And you might have some general thoughts of where to guide the situation, right? Because guess what? If there's not some major challenges on any of these areas or major desires to make any movements, they're probably not going to move. Lindsay, for you, it could be, what's the major reason for you to sell? And you might even preface it like, look, honestly, half of my time when I'm sitting down with people for a listing opportunity is to talk people out of selling and listing the property. That might sound counterintuitive, but I've got to make sure that if I'm in your shoes, that this is going to be the best thing for you. So could you tell me, what would you say is the number one reason why you would consider selling right now?
I would consider selling because there's still not a lot of houses on the market. And if things are priced well, we're still seeing multiple offers. So
it sounds like you think that the marketplace is still relatively strong because there's low inventory and we're seeing multiple offers.
In my area, yes.
Excellent. And how would that help you achieve your goals of selling at a price that makes sense for you?
Then I would have the money that I need to put into the next property.
Have the money to put into the next property?
Mhm.
What would the next property you'd be able to have that or be in that next property mean for you and your family?
It would mean more space for my golden retrievers to run around outside.
You know, happy golden retriever, happy life, right? It's like happy wife, happy life.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if that golden retriever is smiling, so what would it mean besides the day to day and improvement for low for space for your family and for your pet? What else would that mean for you besides being being in the house that you want to be in?
I would be able to put down more roots as well
More
and
roots,
be somewhere longer term.
longer term. What do you mean by longer term?
I would have the space to grow because my soon-to-be husband and I would like to start having a family.
Well, congratulations to soon to be husband. Now, so now we've uncovered something that perhaps I didn't even know yet, and this is so cool, right? So congratulations on newly married, and it gives you an opportunity to grow the family in the future. What an exciting, cool thing! That makes a lot of sense to why you want to buy a house that perhaps has plenty of space to build into. Am I way off?
Nope, that's correct.
Excellent. Okay. So I've touched on some personal, I've touched on some like practical, I've touched on like, pricing and macro, right? And those would be some of the main ones to dig into. So then you might move into the transition statement. Lindsay, do you remember what the transition statement is now that I've established some real desires and some serious motivation? What would be that question? By the way, if you're questioning, before we go there, if you're questioning whether or not that's even, how they might be less emotional. Like I have one friend, he's like the Godfather. Like he's just like no emotions, right? It's just level. And he might ask a question like what, Pierce, on a scale of what?
On a scale of 1 to 10.
How?
This is for the proposal, right?
Yeah, this is for the proposal. Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how much is a proposal? I can't remember this one. How much is
Okay, Lindsay, what do you think? On a scale
like,
of 1 to 10, what would you say? Not even the proposal, just gauging motivation.
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, how motivated are you to sell?
Could be that. Lindsay, what do you think?
I was gonna say something similar.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about making sure you get the house that you have your family to grow in, making sure that the dog has plenty of space to move, making sure that it fits within your budget, making sure you have that cash flow, that new depreciation schedule, making sure you don't get trapped by a 1031 exchange, right? Whatever those things are on a scale of 1 to 10, just get a feel for that. With 10 being, yeah, I'm extremely serious and I'm ready to take action now. And like 0, like, no, I'm pretty much good where I'm at. And they're going to say something like 5, 7, 6, 8. You might even do some kind of future pacing when you say, well, what would it look like if you were to have that? Imagine everything works out. You're in your house, you're buying your property, you're getting your cash flow. What does that look like long term for you? Fast forward a year from now, or 6 months, or 3 months from now, we've listed and sold the property. What would that look like for you? Something where it's going to gauge their motivation or gauge some of their emotions. And they say, no, 9 out of 10, I'm really serious. Excellent. It sounds like you're very serious about selling. Based upon that, I do think a proposal would be warranted for these reasons. It's going to give you a clear picture of what houses are on the market, a clear picture of what opportunities we could sell your property for, what the financing is, what your capital gains tax deferral options are, what communities you can connect with, what that looks like. Assuming we can agree on price and terms, and I come back with this proposal to list and sell your property, is there any reason why that you could think of why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list and sell your property for you? And then you just be quiet, right? For maybe 3 or 4 seconds. Let him think and let him come up with the objections or the challenges or the things that they might say. That makes sense? So Lindsay, what would someone might say to you on that?
They may say, well, this is on the listing side.
Yeah, I'm listing side.
I want to wait to list my house because I'll need to buy something else and the rates are just so high and I have a really low interest rate right now.
That
on the
makes
house
perfect
purchase.
sense. That is so smart. And assuming that I could address that and we can show you the strategy of why it might be better to list now versus waiting for when the rates could go somewhere else. When I come back with this proposal next week, to your satisfaction, we address that. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list the property for you?
Nope, that's my major concern.
Yeah. And then, by the way, it's a totally valid concern. And I want to be completely fair-minded with all of this. And the goal is to show you in that proposal both of your options and let you decide what's best for you. So assuming you can agree on price and terms to your satisfaction, it looks good for the reason to sell. There's no other reason that I'm hearing right now that you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list your property.
Correct.
Now, I said it twice now, right? Especially because guess what? 1, 2, 3. If you get three times, it's like an emotional connection. One time could be the false yes, right? You ever get someone where they're saying yes, but they really just want to get, I've had this happen before, where they really just want you to end the meeting, right? And they want to do it in a polite way, but they're not intending to do business with you, right? So if you're sensing that, go for the second one. And you can just do in summary. So in summary, it feels like you're ready to list the property, assuming we can make sense of these interest rates and the timing of everything. And we can agree on price and terms for why it's a good time to sell it. Am I way off? No, you're right on. You really want them to go, yeah, that's right. You're spot on. No, exactly right. And if they start to hesitate or, and then you might say, it sounds like you might have a little bit of hesitation there. Don't be afraid to ask that. They could be hesitating. They could be testing you, right? They could be just still not sure yet. And that's okay too. But the goal is to try to bring that out, right? So Lindsay, I want you to practice the conditional close with me. Go.
So assuming we could agree on price and terms, I can show you how it actually might be to your advantage to list and then buy something else right now. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't move forward with listing your property with me?
Not that I can think of, Lindsay. Good job. Pierce, go.
Assuming we can agree on price and terms, and to your satisfaction, we can solve all the problems, specifically the interest rate, thing that you brought up a little bit earlier. Is there any reason why you wouldn't let me exclusively list your property?
Nope. Good job, Pierce. That's it, right? And then they're going to bring up the objection or the challenge or what are your fees? So why don't you give it the fee one, Pierce? So
how expensive are you?
Man, we charge millions. No, we don't charge millions, but we do really try to bring a $1 million approach to our marketing and our specialty, and which means that we charge our fee. Our fees are 6%, and they're split 50-50 with the buyer and seller. But really the question to ask is, what do you as a seller, what's the investment of that 6% going to yield in your return for a higher price and better terms and a certainty of execution? So assuming that we can agree on price and terms, and when I come back, I can show you how that 6% is really an investment and not an expense to get you the highest price and the best terms for your property and your sale and meeting your goals. Is there any other reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list the property for you? So you see how I answered it direct, right? I answered it direct. I didn't deflect. I said exactly what it is, but I also try to make it softer and also change their mindset from expense to investment. You want to try that, Lindsay? So Lindsay, I don't know. What are your fees?
So our investment to you is about 6%. It's split 50-50 between the buying side and the selling side.
Your investment, so you're going to pay the 6%?
No, I said that wrong.
It's okay. You want to start over? Go.
You're going to pay the 6%.
Say it again. Go.
So we charge 6%. It's split between the buying side and the selling side. And this really is an investment in us performing for you and, netting you the highest amount of money that we possibly can.
Now close.
I can't remember
Assuming we
the
can agree on price and terms.
assuming we can agree on price and terms, is there any other reason why you wouldn't let me exclusively list your property?
So close. Pierce, what did she miss there between those two? Did you catch it?
Assuming we can agree on price and terms, and to your satisfaction, we solve X, Y, and Z problems.
What was her problem? What was the problem I want to solve for? The what? What was her objection? What was my objection?
That it's too expensive.
Exactly. Right. So Lindsay, rephrase it. Assuming we can agree on price and terms, and let me back up. Our fee is 6%. We split it 50-50 between the buyer and the seller. But what I want to encourage you to think about is how this is an investment, not an expense.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that through providing amazing marketing and an amazing team and a process to get you the highest price and the best terms to help you solve your challenges. So when I come back with the proposal, I want to show you how this will net you a higher price and better terms, and all of the marketing, all the effort we're going to put into it. And assuming we can agree on price and terms, when I come back with this proposal and I show you specifically how the fee is an investment and not an expense to your satisfaction, is there any other reason why you wouldn't allow me to exclusively list the property for you? You see how I tied those two together and I tied it to the next meeting? I didn't just try to overcome it, right? I'm bringing it into the proposal. And then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to wow them with the proposal because I'm going to do more time, more energy, boots on the ground, research, overview, strategy, solutions to their other challenges as well, not just the fee, because I've already uncovered those other challenges, right? And then, by the way, the fee might not even come up. It might not even come up during the conversation. You might get to the point when you're in the proposal process and you're going through all of the other things about their family and they're going to get newly married, and they're, and the finances and the interest rates and all of those other things and the comps in the area, that they're like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm blown away by it. I'm already going to hire her. And you sense that. Are you ready to move forward? Now they might bring it up. Now you're prepared with that part of the presentation. Does that make sense? But you're not artificially just going to come out and say, see, here are my things. That's going to be in the proposal itself that you're going to leave with them. But it's only as they bring up that challenge that you use it as a way to show that you put your time and energy and effort into it. Does that make sense?
One of the things that, you brought up is the question is, what are your fees? I don't necessarily think it's an objection right away either. Like, is there a way you just be like, oh yeah, we charge 6%?
I guess it's art and a science, right? And you might even say, and they say, what are your fees? And you might say, well, it seems like you might have some hesitancy about fees. Or it seems like you might have an objection with fees. Like, I don't know what's behind that. The tonality and the emotion. And you might mirror and label that a little bit more, right? So you're right, Pierce. And they might not have an objection. And it's not even an issue. And you might say something along the lines of, it feels like it's really not an issue for you for the fees, and 6% you're okay with. And they might say, yeah, that's right. That's fine. I was just curious. And you go, okay, great. And then you go, assuming you can agree on price and terms and to your satisfaction, solve 1, 2, and 3, and don't even bring up fees. Is there any other reason you wouldn't exclusively list the property for me? Yeah. So, I mean, it's an art and a science. It may not be an objection, but you are asking specifically, is there any other reason you wouldn't list? And we did say, well, what's your fee, right? So more than likely, it's probably is something they're concerned about.
I mean, how often are we getting pushback on 6% versus 5% versus 4%?
I don't know. We're negotiating always in every deal in every way. I feel like every day in every way, we're negotiating everything at all times. It's the business we're in. And it's cool. That's part of why we love what we do.
Got 6% every time I've asked, because I explained to my sellers how hard I work for them,
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I've not gotten a ton of pushback. And if there's a lot of pushback and they want to, like, would you do it for 2%? This person's going to do it for that. Like, maybe you don't really want to work with them,
Exactly. 100%, Lindsay, right? Are they going to be easygoing, loving, fun people? Are they going to be hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating, right?
Mm-hmm.
So elves versus haves, easygoing, love, fun, or hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating. and you want to choose to work with elves, and you also want to be an elf too, right? And so if you're sensing that, Pierce, for anybody, then yeah, Lindsay's right. It's probably not worth the 6%, more 7 or 8, 10%, not worth anything, right?
10% mine.
Huh?
10% mine. High profit, high pain in the butt.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, exactly. Then you make a decision, right? And you actually say, no, sorry, we don't do it for 10. For you, I'll do it for 8. But that might end the relationship. Yeah, no, I mean, it's an art and a science, right? This isn't perfect. But it does give you the framework for which to work under. So that's the challenge this week. I want you guys each to go to the meetings, mirroring and labeling more, right? Building the rapport, as well as conditioning and closing. Make sure if you're cold calling, you're there to set the meeting. You're not there to have the meeting. Make sure when you're on the meeting, you're there to build a rapport, to uncover needs and challenges, desires and ambitions. Mirror and label, pull out more and more, get multiple levels of challenges and desires. Transition it on a scale of 1 to 10. How serious are you about moving forward with me, but doing a proposal to see if a listing is going to be your best thing to do. 7, 8, 9, 10. Excellent. Assuming we can agree on price and terms, conditional close, move that to the proposal. And then that's it. And that's, hopefully you're going to increase your conversions. Is that making some sense, everyone? All right. We're up against the top of the hour. So I'll see everyone next week. And we'll go from there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. If anyone wants to learn more, go to expmastery.com, expmastery.com. You can also go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about what we're doing with deferring capital gains tax, eliminating the 1031, leveling up everything you're doing. And we appreciate